Hello everyone and welcome to Rapid MMA. This is post-fight analysis of UFC on Fox 16, Dillashaw vs. Barao 2. And before we get started, I just wanted to send a quick thank you to everyone who watched the video, and I hope I was able to provide some insight, although this card I didn't do so well on, and it's just the way that it goes with mixed martial arts. It's just too hard to predict what's going to happen, but I think I did fairly well, and I hope that you guys were very successful in your picks if you didn't go exactly with what I went with. So with that out of the way, let's get to post-fight analysis. So the first fight obviously was Cummings versus Steele, and there's not much to say about this fight. Cummings came straight out and just did not give Steele any opportunity to get his rhythm or to get his pace. I think he played that very smart for the UFC newcomer, was able to just dominate him from start to finish. So obviously that one I chose second round submission, thinking he would work from the clinch, but he just wailed on him, and that's all there is to that. So we got the fighter right, didn't get the outcome right. Second fight was the women's bantamweight bout between Jessamyn Duke and Elizabeth Phillips, and holy smokes, that was just not a good fight in my opinion. What that fight was going to come down to was basically who was the most improved fighter from their last bout, and if you were to give anyone an edge, it would probably be Phillips for who was most improved after watching that. So basically what happened was just a long 3 rounds of awkward fighting. I've done a lot of video work for regional mixed martial arts, and that just looked like an amateur bout to me. I was hoping Duke would find her range, hopefully improve her striking, but that just didn't turn out that way. So Phillips just pressured her, and it was just a long bout. Went to decision, Phillips won. I have a feeling someone's gonna get cut. The division is still evolving, so I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him in there, but I don't know. I just don't see any of them sniffing top contender status anytime soon. So let's move on from that fight. Speaking of evolving and UFC newcomers, Holbrook looked very good. A lot of people say Nijum was robbed of a decision, and I thought so right away too. And I'd have to go back and watch the fight. I haven't had an opportunity to watch any of them again, but Nijum lost a split decision, or was it a unanimous decision? I'm not 100% sure, but Nijum did awesome on the feet, was able to outstrike Holbrook, but every single time he got him hurt, he just tried to go for takedowns. It seemed like he just was afraid of getting countered. I'm not 100% sure, but he'd basically blitz him and go for a takedown, and Holbrook was, off his back. I could see how the judges would score it if they were thinking about it logically, because Holbrook was going for much more. Even though he was getting taken down, Nijum was on top, Holbrook was going for an entire arsenal of submissions. So I'll watch it again if I get the opportunity to. But, after thinking about it, I'm not surprised Holbrook got it. I don't think he was robbed. Nijum was robbed, but I could see where they give Holbrook the nod. Next fight is Cruikshank versus Krause, and this was an awesome fight. You really get to see what it's like when a fighter effectively uses his range, and Krause was able to do that perfectly, switching stances, keeping Cruikshank at about kicking range, using leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks, and although Cruikshank was able to actually do really well on the feet, he was being pressured a little bit up against the cage, but Cruikshank still was able to use head movement, counter kind of effectively. But you notice right away Krause was always leaning back, staying far away from the counter shots, and coming back in. And what happened was Krause goes for classic Muay Thai, grabs him around the neck, throws him to the ground, and immediately capitalizes, getting a rear naked choke. Cruikshank, once he gets thrown to the ground, he didn't even try to fight the hands or push the elbow up off around his neck. I just think he was really surprised about what was happening. Kraus, it just happened so quick. Kraus threw him straight to the ground, threw his legs over, got the hooks in, flattened him out, got his arm under his chin, and he tapped out rather quickly. And I just don't know what Cruikshank was thinking right there. He didn't try to fight off the hands, or I don't know if he got hurt when he threw him to the ground. I'm not 100% sure, but Kraus gets the win via rear naked choke. So very excited to see him fight next. Moving on was this fight went exactly as I expected it to. Wineland versus Caraway. Caraway not going for as many takedowns as I thought he would. And when he did, Wineland was just awesome at stuffing them. I just did not give enough credit to Wineland for his takedown defense. Caraway really looking great in the striking department. He did exactly what I thought he would do and offset the timing of Wineland, who generally kind of stays in this box when he's doing all these feints and head movement and footwork, excuse me. And Caraway just was able to stifle him by just putting the pressure on him with short combos, and it was a great fight. Went to decision, and Caraway got the nod. Next fight was an awesome one between Robertson and Saunders. I chose Saunders, knockout in the second round, and it went to decision. Saunders just getting mauled with the right hand every time he went for a body kick. Robertson knew that was going to be open and went to the ground just like I thought it would. Of course, Saunders wraps him up, just battered him on the ground off his back, especially I think it was the third round, maybe the second round, when he was just beating the shit out of him. But I feel like that fight could have went to Robertson. That fight I'd have to watch again too, just to see what the judges were thinking, but I'm kind of surprised it didn't go to Robertson. Another great fight. Excited to see Saunders back in. That guy is a beast. Definitely a veteran. Moving on, we have Jim Miller, Danny Castillo. Another fight that went exactly as expected. Kind of thought maybe Miller was going to get a submission or a knockout here and there as I was watching the fight. If there was any questions about his chin, if there was any questions about fighter mileage, doubt creeps in your brain, because Miller, although not his best performance, and I think he'd admit that as well, he still looked really good. Castillo's just not able to put it together. Jim Miller just walks away with a decision victory. It was just an awesome fight overall. After that, we had one fucking crazy fight with John Vellante and Tom Lawler. And Tom Lawler, it was David versus Goliath in this one. I thought for sure Tom Lawler was going to push the bigger guy up against the fence, try to wear out the arms or something, but Vellante basically knocks himself out by running directly into Lawler's fists. And I think everyone was quite surprised, including Lawler, that happened. He threw a heavy right hand, ducked Vellante's counter, and just knocked him out. Vellante fell right over, did not even know he was out. He was talking to the ref like, what the hell, why'd you stop it? But that's basically foreshadowing for Barao and TJ Dillashaw as well. Moving on, another very bizarre outcome with Lozon and Gomi. Lozon going for that takedown and wrapping up Gomi's leg and basically pulling that leg up to Gomi's head and taking him down that way was just crazy. Lozon is a monster. I think there was rumors that Gomi tore his groin. Probably from Lozon stretching that leg out up against his head. And if you haven't seen that fight, Lozon basically punched Gomi in the head, knocked him unconscious for a brief moment, and then knocked him back into consciousness. At least that's what it looked like. And he got up and walked away. I think it was two reasons. He thought Herb stopped it, and at the same time he knew he was out, so he walked away, and he was getting prepped to run back over and knock him out again. But Gomi was done. It was a good stoppage, even though it was a little bit awkward. Last fight was just a fucking awesome one. I went risky with this one, and I knew I was gonna probably be wrong, but I felt like Felder could do what Donald Cerrone did, mostly because I think they were training together for this fight, and Donald Cerrone was there in the crowd just shouting out instructions. So I thought maybe Felder would get this, but it went all the way to round 3. Felder, this is one of those fights, and everybody's been saying this, even though Felder lost, his stock rises because not only did he fight a name, he also looked awesome, and nobody really lost in this fight. But Barboza walks away with the decision. a fight that I'd love to see again. That was just an awesome technical display. Both fighters winning that one. Last one, Jessica Ai versus Miesha Tate. Kind of surprised how this one turned out a little bit. I'm not surprised that Miesha Tate won, but I'm kind of surprised at the performance of Jessica Ai. Not as much head movement as we've seen in her earlier bouts. Not able to put together the combinations. And then Miesha Tate looking outstanding with the evolution of her striking, basically ducking under and throwing a heavy overright straight to Jessica Ai. I think it happened twice. Once in round 1 and again in round 2, or maybe it was 2 and 3. Again, haven't watched these fights. Miesha Tate wins by decision, fairly dominant victory. Last fight was just fucking amazing. Really expected more out of Barao. And that weight cut just must be killing him. And I think a few people mentioned in the comments that, they think the weight cut isn't quite working out with him. And I tend to agree. And I think the UFC agrees as well. I don't know if he'll stick around at bantamweight, but if he moves up to featherweight, that'd be pretty good as well. But Barao is still a killer. Things that Barao walks away with and that we learn about him is that he's still super hard to take down. He's able to, withstand quite a bit of punishment. Dillashaw turned it up in that 4th round. I mean, his cardio is unbelievable. He's just got excellent striking, and he did what I thought he would do. He was trying to go for the takedowns, and he just wasn't quite able to secure them. But even if he wasn't quite committing to the takedowns 100%, it still just made Barao guess, and Barao had no idea what the fuck was going on. It felt like he was just looking for that one big counter. It was never that there. Dillashaw was always in and out, standing right in front of him when he wanted to, just basically ragdolling him to a certain degree. Barao walks away defeated by knockout, essentially. I mean, Dillashaw was just wailing on him in that 4th round. If you watch those replays, it's just unreal. He had a little bit of a problem with the stoppage, but if you just see, he was out on his feet multiple times, and yeah, wins by KO in the 4th round. And a lot of people predicted that. I thought Barao would come more prepared with a different game plan, because I have no reason to believe he wouldn't. He said he had a different game plan. He said he was coming in completely different, and he's been a champion for a long time, so I just respected that opinion and thought, of course he will. I mean, he wants to be champ again, but it just didn't turn out that way. Dillashaw looks like a monster. He is a monster. Exciting matchups are Cruz, of course, and it would be pretty cool to see him fight Demetrius Johnson as well if that fight ever happens. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to get to work right away on UFC 190, Rousey versus Bethe Correia. Thank you again. Please leave a comment, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you this Saturday.